In my video on Goro and Ito, I took a bit of a dive into some of the roles characters play in Genshin Impact, but I more so did this strictly as it relates to Geo characters in the game and using them in Goro's optimized composition. So, in today's video, I wanted to start delving into the roles as a whole in order to really explain team composition on more of a detailed level. And the way I decided to do that first was by going to the healer section. This isn't something that a lot of people talk about because it's typically not as flashy to watch your health bars go up as it is to watch the enemy health bars go down. However, as the resident Lucio main of the community, I know it's still important. Shields are very good for mitigating damage, sure, but Spiral Abyss in particular requires staying power over the course of multiple fights, and you want at least some kind of healer for that, especially with mechanics like Corrosion that say no to your shields and just drain your health anyway. And to make things clear, I'm talking about the characters that heal people in the party, not just themselves. So Kaya, Hu Tao, Animo Tramplers, stuff like that, they aren't going to be in this video. Except just now. So anyway, healers. The first type of healer I want to address is the reactionary healer, because it's going to be the shortest and honestly most unimportant section. These aren't so much healers as characters that have some healing and really only do it because of an incoming attack. Two characters in mind that I want to call out as this category: C6 Zhongli and Xingqiu. These are not main healers. There may be instances where you have such thorough shielding that you just use these guys for this and have some healing just in case, especially if your example is C6 Zhongli, but most likely you're not going to be going there. Both provide healing as part of a different damage mitigation tactic, so, you know, it's really just part of their defensive kit more so than anything that really puts them in a healer role. Now, a lot of other metrics involving healers are going to seem like binaries, but really there's a lot more gray areas. It's much more of a spectrum, at the very least in the first one. This is continuous healing versus burst healing. Those reactionary healers actually kind of reflect two sides of that. Because of how long Jade Shield lasts, Zhongli C6 is more of a continuous healing ability than a burst, because you'll be getting that coming in whenever you take a hit. You can kind of cheat that in order to take a lot of small ones quickly. Point is, as long as you're getting hit, you're getting healed. Compare that with Xingqiu's. If you're dodging, and you're not even going to use the healing until his rain swords expire. And if you are getting hit, then you're going to heal for what can be a bigger number depending on how big the attack is compared to Zhongli, but you only get it 4 times. So Zhongli more represents continuous healing, something that heals you all the time, and Xingqiu represents burst healing, or something that heals you all at once and then goes on cooldown. That's not really a one-to-one comparison, but I think you get the idea of how this is a sliding scale. Nobody's truly a pure continuous healer. All of them have bursts where they do more healing, and many do have gaps depending on how they're used, but part of the key is how much of a downtime there is to their healing in general. Jean and Diona, for example, are both more burst healers than continuous one, but Diona falls further onto the burst side of the spectrum because of the fact that her healing has a full-on cooldown, even if you're able to get the energy back for her ult immediately. While Jean's, even though her main healing method has a shorter uptime, thus resulting in longer heal cooldown, actually has healing she can do outside of her burst with normal attacks. So like I said, there's a spectrum going on here. 3 characters for me that are the furthest in the continuous side of this are Kokomi, Barbara, and Chi-Chi. Although I'm writing this before getting to play around with Goro C4 and really knowing how the cooldown on that functions, so, you know, he may just be a pure continuous healer at that point, it depends. Another category I wanted to talk about was on-field and off-field healing, although this applies more so to individual abilities rather than characters. But a character with all or almost all of their healing come from one or the other, probably going to generally fall in that category. This isn't about if the character doing the healing is on or off the field either. It's about if the character being healed is on or off the field. Although there is some correlation, most of the time an ability that heals character on field only will be usable when the character is off the field, and, you know, if it's not, then that's just a self-heal, so it doesn't even count for what we're talking about. And likewise, an ability that heals everyone is typically only going to be usable when a character doing the healing is on the field. That's not so much a strict rule that disqualifies it, but it's generally because of balance reasons the way that these work. A few particularly powerful healers, the 3 furthest on the continuous healing spectrum mentioned earlier, have an on-field or continuous heal, which is actually more common than an off-field continuous healing, and they're burst healing, with the exception of Chi-Chi, who doesn't really have a big burst. They tend to favor off-field healing. There's a few characters that only have on-field healing, and they happen to be considered by most some of the best healers in the game for reasons that I'll get into later. But there's actually only one character that only does off-field healing, and that's Noelle. She heals everyone, but only while she's the one attacking. See, there are several reasons why people consider Noelle a weak healer. She has to be active in order to heal, thus taking time away from main DPS characters. She can have a pretty long cooldown on your heal if you don't use her the right way, and even then only if you have constellations. And these traits combined make it so that if you don't have a ton of damage on her, she's going to be slow you down while she's healing. So most people wouldn't call her a healer slot, even though that's what she's actually meant to do. In comparison to other healers that can still be healing the active character if they swap out, it's understandable why Noelle looks so bad to so many players. Anyway, one last topic I want to discuss are those one tricks I previously mentioned. Bennett, Diona, Goro, you know, those. Now, notably, Bennett and Diona are in fact considered two of your best healer options, so it's important to examine how two people who have such limited abilities can be that good. And that's because of versatility. I know I said limited abilities and versatility, work with me here. This is something that is another mark of a truly good healer. To explain this, I actually want to use a Magic the Gathering analogy. There are certain tactical traps that people fall into in Magic when building decks, and one of them is the idea of gaining life points. Specifically, cards like Healing Salve here that do nothing but gain life points. In theory, this is pretty much a hard counter to Lightning Bolt no matter how you use it. In reality, you're not actually doing anything to progress a victory condition. You can heal all you want, but if all you're doing is healing, then that is not likely to be worth the resource of a card on its own, even if it is worth the mana, because all you're doing is moving the goalpost back. You still need a reason for that shifting to matter. There's a few instances of pure heal mattering. Feed the Clan is sometimes used in sideboards, for example, but most of the time life gain is either attached to something that advances your win condition in a different way, or used in a deck that has payoffs that turn that healing into progression to the board state. So that's kind of what I'm getting at. The best healers are going to do more than heal. They'll have another role to go along with it. This is actually part of the reason I wanted to talk about healing first. The main reason that so many people think Barbara isn't good is because healing is the only thing she's good at. Don't get me wrong, she's very good at it, but if that's all she's got, she's not going to be as useful to people. Kokomi was perceived the same way, although that's been in part proven wrong with her capabilities of being a DPS, and because she has something to take advantage of how much healing she's doing, the ocean-hued clam set. She was also designed so that her ability to heal also benefited her damage. Noelle, very similar in that regard. Her ability to heal and deal damage with her ult are the same skill, although it's not as well designed to integrate as Kokomi's is. Bennett and Diona both heal and also provide support, Bennett directly with the same ability, and Diona with her shield that helps build up the ult. There's other reasons, but I felt that I should explain something fundamental in this particular case. The basic thesis at the very end of the day is good healers don't just heal. MiHoYo is definitely getting better at designing healers that synergize their healing capabilities with other things that they provide for a team, but interestingly, they kind of already had a perfect formula with Bennett and Diona that just need a little tweaking, Bennett especially. So no, healers aren't useless compared to the other roles in the party. They just should also be playing these other roles in addition to healing if they're going to be good.